Hey, Creative Mom Kamala here from Creative Mom's Decant. So, it's always crazy in my craft room and today doesn't disappoint. Let's jump in and see what I've got going today.
So I just finished this rhinestone tumbler, and I have found that after watching all the YouTube videos and all the TikToks on how to do this, it is actually super easy and no fuss. You don't have to fuss with much at all to get glorious results for a rhinestone tumbler. So let's jump in and watch me do this, and I'll share my tips and tricks.
You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me.
All right, so we're going to start this out with the supplies that you need. You are going to need a piece of custom printed vinyl. So it doesn't matter the pattern. I really don't think it will, just a pattern of your choice. This is a rhinestone wax pencil. SS20 rhinestones will also be needed. To do that, don't spill them. You'll also need a tumbler, and then you're going to need your adhesive. So I am using Liquid Fusion today, and I am using the wax pencil, and I'll link both of these, and just a straight 20-ounce tumbler is perfect. So the first thing you want to do is measure your tumbler, cut your vinyl to size. You can either do that with your Cricut Cutting Machine or with a pair of scissors, and adhere it to the tumbler. I am definitely not the greatest at getting vinyl placed on a cup, but I'm going to tell you that this method in general is very forgiving. And then I'm actually using some Cricut glitter tape and putting a strip at the top. And I absolutely love how this helped me line up the first rows of gemstones and how it looks in the end. It just makes it look like, well, like a tumbler. I don't know. I really am happy with this. And like I said, I think it's another trick because it really helped line up your first rows of rhinestones. So we are ready to place rhinestones. I like to use a little tray just to kind of keep my rhinestones contained. And it also gives me the ability to flip them, because you're going to want to grab the front side with your wax pencil so that you can get it on correctly. So the first thing you do is apply a small bead of the glue, and I'm just going to work in sections. The first one I'm going to do a complete row. So once you have your first row completely on, you want to make sure that they're all at the very top. So I actually run them just a hair over right now. And then what I do is I'm just going to take it upside down on my flat surface here, and I'm going to push all of these to my surface so that my line up here is definitely straight. You want your first line to be nice and snug, and then you want to let it dry completely before the next step.
With an illusion, like a sparrow with broken wings, but now I shine with your reflection.
So the bottle of glue, the Liquid Fusion, says 2 to 4 hours. For this first coat, if you let it sit an hour, it's hard enough to continue. So now we're going to continue placing stones down. So I think it's really important to make these first 3 rows look nice. I'm really happy with how that turned out in the end. And the Cricut glitter tape did make it easy to put exactly three rows of these SS20 rhinestones But I think no matter what you're doing, your outside edges are going to have to look nice. When we get to the bottom here, we are going to make those line up with the bottom. So I'm going to finish rolling out these nice and carefully, first 3 rows, and then we'll get on to my next tip. So I think it really paid off for me by doing those out the outer row slow, even, and I laid my tumbler down to make sure everything was even and let things dry upside down. So if you'll notice as we're going through all of this, if I'm setting my tumbler down, I'm setting it down towards that side I'm working on, the top. And I recommend you start at the top because it's going to be your nicest area. I am super excited about rhinestones, and I'm going to tell you that I have a fun customer who wants some rhinestone ornaments. So I'm on a mission to figure out more with rhinestones for this holiday season. But your outside edge of the tumbler, the Cricut tape, 3 rows with SS20 rhinestones. And then from here, here's the biggest tip. It doesn't really matter. I worked this thing all the way down. I know sometimes the camera angle is hard. I got in my zone and where I could see things good and kind of forgot the camera was there. So sorry about that, but I really and truly am just placing these, you would say hexagon most of the time. So in between each one is what I would call a hexagon placement, and working in sections down the tumbler. So I worked, 1/2-inch sections in a triangle motion down this tumbler, and then lined up my lines by working the triangle from the tip down. So I kind of, just kept everything even to the bottom. But I did not work per any video that I saw, which was very carefully. I think the patterned vinyl is another key here. It makes things pop. So like I said, I'm going to play more with rhinestones, but patterned vinyl and just get the rhinestones on. Let's get this finished up. I've got a couple more tips and tricks for you. So this is definitely the moment that you think you've lost your mind and how many more of these do I have to put on? But I adjusted my lighting a little bit so you could see it better, and that and how pretty it is why you keep going. So every once in a while you'll see me push my gemstones around. And although they are fun to play with, it actually helps flip them over so that I can grab the top side. You'll also note that I ditched the tray. I found working on this white mat was much easier. So take the breaks, okay? So it is super fun, but I took breaks. It took me a whole day. Now, we homeschool and, well, I check on my chickens like 25 times. Okay, I do. Don't judge me. But when you take your breaks, everybody's going to need them. But don't do dishes. No. Set the cup upside down. So jewels down so that everything's going that way. You also want to make sure that you're not using too much glue. So I'm starting to work out a section here, and I slowed it down so you could see it good. But I put that glue on there, and then sometimes I even use the end of my pencil and I spread it out even thinner. But they do need a solid coat of glue. So this glue dried crystal clear, so it is perfect. I will link it and my gems and all that good stuff in the comments below so that you know what I used. I will tell you that finding gems without backs for this project was a little bit tricky, but I'll link the ones I used below because they're perfect. So when you take breaks, just make sure that the jewels are matte side down, so whatever you're working on. And I had no issues with anything sticking, but the one time that I left it the wrong way, they ran some and set that away, and it was a little tricky. So just always make sure you set it jeweled side down. All right, I'm gonna rock this out to the end, and we are almost done here with my tips and tricks and finishing up this awesome rhinestone tumbler that really was no fuss. It was all fun. So as you get to the end, maybe I would say this was the trickiest part, but I'm still working in my sections, and I'm just making sure that that bottom row is right down there at the bottom. My vinyl actually curves under and lays, on that edge, which as I followed that made it flat against the surface also. So you definitely want to make sure that this sits flat because this is the side that's going to sit on someone's desk. So I just did these nice and slow and worked to make sure that that top line was going to come out straight. So I filled in and worked to it, and I knew that 2 to 3 rows will fit nice and even with these SS20 rhinestones. So it worked out great. We're going to rock out the end of this and I'll show you the end result. It is so pretty. I am so in love with this tumbler. You all, I will link all these supplies below. This is gorgeous. Super easy. It was actually relaxing. Rhinestone tumbler that I am so in love with. I have decided that with my method, I would sell these for about $35. And I definitely want to add a disclaimer that the ones on Etsy are worth $135. But mine is at least worth $35. Have a joyful day, friends. Likes and subscribes really help. Bye!
With an illusion, like a sparrow with